Hello, all of you. I thought it was time that I gave you a little update on how things are going. So, at the moment, I am down south in Weybridge visiting my daughter and granddaughter, and I've also seen my son. Briefly, though, he spent a few hours with me, but he's a busy boy, he's got work and whatnot, so I have to wait and see him when he's not, and he's got a girlfriend, so also have to, you know. Anyway, so the journey down here was okay. I was quite tired. I ended up stopping off on the way down because I didn't start out till quite late in the afternoon, evening actually. Um, the heat was, I couldn't cope. It was Friday afternoon, and I know the traffic well enough not to be travelling on the Friday anyway, regardless of the weather. So I decided to wait until the evening before I came down. So there's been two pretty bad things happen to me. Three, probably. Um, when I set out from where I was parked up at my friend's unit back in Wales, I moved from there, I should say, to the container where my belongings are to take a few things there to drop off and to pick a couple of things up to take with me to bring down to Weybridge. And anyway, the journey between the unit and my container is about 6-7 miles. Anyway, on the way there, I thought I'd battened everything down. I'd wedged everything in its place. The quails seemed to be okay. Hens were okay. Abigail, I should say. Oh, yes. It's just, I don't know where to begin because there's 3 deaths have occurred in the last month. I've lost Felicity in the unit just before I set out. She, she'd been spending time under a van. It had rained and there'd been a puddle of oily, murky water underneath the van, and I don't know whether she's drank that, but whatever, she was not. She just took a horrendous turn for the worse and ended up the next morning she was dead. It was like, what the hell? I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. It was such a sudden thing. So that was devastating before I set out. Gary had been gone all day and all night, so I wasn't sure what he was doing, and then suddenly he turns up about 5 o'clock in the evening with his nose bashed up. Gary, Gary, Gary. He's off at the moment. I was going to show it you, but he's like, when he first came back, his face was swollen and all his nose was cut across the top like this. It was like, but he can breathe all right and eat okay, so he seemed, and it's been a few days that has now, and it seems to be healing okay, but that was the first two terrible things that happened. And then on the way from the unit I was parked up over to the container, the worst thing in the world happened. I am responsible for Peter's death. I killed my own quail. Unintentionally, obviously, but I'm responsible for his death. I can't believe what happened. I thought I'd secured all the water. One of the water butts fell over, and I didn't even know that on the way there. It wasn't until I got to the unit, to my container, and when I picked this water butt up, Peter was underneath, completely squashed and dead, and it was only 7 or 8 miles away from home. God, that was awful. That was literally seconds before I set out to come here, down to Weybridge. That really ruined my whole journey down. It ruined it. It was an awful thing. Dave's on the road now, Peter. Oh my God, I killed Peter. I've so struggled with that. Thinking I've been responsible for that little bird's death. It's been the worst thing ever. To think that the little bird just got... I know his death was instantaneous, at least he didn't suffer. Oh my God, I killed my own bird. So, lost Felicity. Gary's come back all bashed up. Peter's dead, and I'm on the way down to Weybridge. So anyway, I get here, and everyone's happy to see me, and I've got a little parking spot in the corner here. It's been quite nice. The sun's allowed me to keep the fridge on constantly, which has been brilliant, because the solar panels are powerful enough to keep that going all night as well as all day, because I've doubled up on the batteries now, so I've got twice the power on the leisure batteries off the solar, and this heat of the sun and beating down on the solar panel all day has just kept that going. So I've been alright here in this little corner. Abigail was let out the first day, so she's been on her own as well. She didn't go far, obviously, because she doesn't know where we are. She just stood around, and obviously it delighted all the children around here that they got a hen, because we've never been in an environment here, because we literally have got houses all the way around. My daughter lives in a small block of flats, 12 flats. Well, there's 3 flats front, 12 flats at the front either side, and then there's 12 flats at the back, so it's like it's only a three flat high building, but there's 12 flats in the complex. So she lives in there, and then there's houses in the estate all the way around. There's a big lawn as well, and I'm in a little parking space with the visitors parking space. So I've got myself nicely tucked in a corner, and so yes, Abigail delighted all the children round here on the first day we were here, because she was wandering round the lawn, and it was an unusual sight for them all to see this little hen wandering about, because none of them have seen a hen in real life before. Because it's, we're in the middle of the rural, not rural, suburban, urban, I don't know, rural's where I come from. That's all I know. Urban's in the town in terms, suburban is on the outskirts of town. So I suppose I'm on the suburbs of London here, but we're still in an estate full of people and houses and busy stuff going on. So anyway, I bought this cool, I don't know, was it about 50 to 60 centimetre high plastic mesh. It's quite sturdy stuff, but it was enough to, like, it was sturdier than the other flimsy, the fence that I had around the whole place before when I was at the piece of land. This was literally just to go around the bottom skirting of the van and out to the back, because I've mended my table while I was at the unit before I come here. I've put a new top on it, so that's nice and sturdy now and nice and looks smart. So I've had that up out the back, and I've had this mesh going all the way to there, because I'm backed up to a hedge here, so that's like a little wall place. So yeah, so this little mesh around the outskirts of the van was keeping Abigail just in this vicinity to stop her wandering off, because there's main roads literally 50 yards just across here, 25 metres or so over here. There's a main road that runs past, even though we're on an estate. So obviously I didn't want to go enough around the estate and off up to the main road, so I've had to sort of skirt her in a bit. So she was alright the first day we were here. After the next day, because first day she was free, then she was stuck in this little bit around the van. She's okay about it, because it was shaded. It's been too hot for her to go off anyway, really. So she come back in at night, and then yesterday she went out again, and I think for the first time, left the van for more than, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. I'd gone across to my daughter's flat to get a bath and get some clothes washed, so I was gone a couple of hours. big mistake. Big mistake. So when I got back, Abigail was gone. I think she's hopped up onto the bushes and crawled her way through and managed to get somehow out. And I have been around this estate 6, 7 times now, shouting her, shaking her mealworm bucket because she'll come anywhere to mealworms. Anyway, when I shout her name, she always comes to me. So I've been across the main road. There's like another little bit of wooded area between the main road and another estate across the way. So there's like a 3 metre part of, some trees and whatnot. So I thought she might have gone in there, so I've been shouting her over there. And then my only other, my logic was because the hens poo quite a bit, so I've been looking all in the radius out of the, from around the barn to see where there might be some hen poo, but I've not been able to find any. So I'm kind of wondering if somebody's took her, because she's quite friendly. She'll squat down. Anyway, so that was last night, and I was up in the night, 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, wandering round, gently shouting her. And again this morning. So I don't know what to do now. I can't. How long? I can't believe I've got no hens left. Philistine Abigail gone. Philistine Abigail gone in less than 2 months. Peter's dead because of me. I killed my own bird. So now it's just Dave, Gary, and me and Amy. Anyway, that's the update on me living and animal situation. Getting on to my situation. Right, so we had an idea that my youngest son, if he can get time off work, because he's been there long enough now to probably get some time off work, possibly driving this van and me over to Sweden to see my son, which he would be more than happy to do, because he went over there with him when he first went, just as a company for someone to go with. He drove his car, and my son that lives in Sweden, he drove his, so they were both convoying, sort of keeping each other company on the way. And then the youngest son, who's here, he stayed with him for a couple of days where he lives in Sweden, and then moved off to have a look around Sweden before he came back. So he's been before, and also, he's up for the job, obviously, his work probably will let him off, but it won't be till September. And the thing is, yesterday, or the day before actually, I've started getting some strange feelings, and it's the first time since I've been told about all this that any weird, anything that I can't explain feeling. So I've been getting a strange, it's like someone's whacked me in the top of the chest, because when you press, it seems to have gone now, and I'm just wondering if when I breathe it's quite tight. When I cough it's not pleasant, but it could be because I've been sitting like this and my posture is really bad. So I've been trying to keep myself sat up straight to keep my back straight to stop me slouching, because I'm wondering if that's affecting me here, because sometimes if I sleep funny my shoulder goes, and at the moment it just feels like that at the moment, like as if you've been sleeping wrong, or you've got a stiff shoulder, or well, it's stiff here, as if I've been hunched over. So I'm trying to sit still. So well, that's what I'm saying, if that isn't what I'm, if it isn't stiffness and the way I've been postured, and it's anything to do with the, cancer. I don't think I said that. Don't never use that word. then we haven't got time to wait to go to Sweden because there's a couple of things. Kieran, my youngest, is going to have to get his passport renewed because he had his back in 2009 or 10. So he's past 10 years. I don't know. And also, both of us, neither of us had a COVID jab, and I don't really want one. And apparently, I can't go anywhere unless I've had one. So I'm like, if you want to see your son, you've got to have a jab. And so that's pissed me off. So they're forcing me regardless. Anyway, the only time my youngest son really can get happy time off without causing any trouble at work is in September. And if this here that I've got coming up at the moment is anything to do with it, it's obviously going to worsen no matter what. So I'm this is going to bring me onto this now because I've been trying to use this as a bit of a medicine. Somebody kindly sent me Siberian chaga mushroom tea to drink or whatever you do with it. It's I've had it. I can't. There was no note with it, but somebody on the GoFundMe sent me this. So, oh, you can't see it. It's backwards, isn't it? Darn it. Anyway, it's like a, for those of you who don't know, it's like a little dark, black, brown, nutty, hard swelling that comes on trees sometimes. It's a fungus that grows, and it's like woody, and you pick it off and you pound it and pound it and pound it. It's up to you whether you leave it in chunks or what, but it's like coffee granules. You can get it down to whatever size granules you want. They don't dissolve at all. They're not dissolving granules. It's not been processed, it's literally ground up. So it took me a while before I actually started doing it. It was about 2 months after I got this. No, it wasn't that long. About 6 weeks after I got this that I started actually taking it because I've never heard of it. I've been watching videos about it and learning about it, and people have been saying it's supposed to. So really, I should have had this right from the start. If it was going to do any good, probably. But anyway, so I bought myself a little cafetiere for something I never had in my life. Never had one of these because I've never been a fresh coffee person. I've always been an instant. So I bought a little one of these to brew it in. And although it's not that unpleasant, I don't have sugar in my tea, but I do have to have a little bit. So I've got a bit of honey that goes in there as well. I put it in there because I make it hot, obviously, and the honey melts into it. I leave it to cool down. And then drink it. And then it's not the greatest taste, but obviously the honey makes it okay. So I've been drinking this daily. So I'm half a cup now. In the belief that it's doing me some good, so I'm sort of willing myself. My daughter says I'm just burying my head in the sand and I should face it and do stuff, but it just seems a ridiculous thing because if I admit that I've got it, then it's defeated me. And at the moment, the reason why I'm saying this, because I've been feeling out. I don't know. Obviously, things are coming on now, so I'm not sure. But they said this lump here in my neck had cancer in it, but they're dead. The cancer cells are dead, and that's why they couldn't get a proper reading. So they wanted to do another biopsy. That's why they took me in. It's not got any bigger. I keep thinking it's getting smaller. This little one here has never grown any more than what it was either. Just a little polyp. So that. So anyway, it could suddenly come on, and I might not even be able to last till the end of the month, or the end of the year, or the end of the summer. I don't know. It could suddenly happen overnight, couldn't it? One minute it could be fine, next minute it could have something else and die instantly. It'd be a bit of irony, wouldn't it, if I ended up dying of COVID. Anyway, oh, I'm talking quietly because there's people sitting in the gardens here and I don't really want to smoke off. Let everyone listen to what I'm saying. There's nothing else to tell you. Hello, Gary. Oh, Gary, yes, you can see his nose. Look at my little boy. Oh, look at his nose. Oh, Gary, look. Oh, your little bashed up nose. He does get himself into some scrapes. Oh, yeah. You silly boy. He's literally had about 12 lives. No sooner as he recovered from one injury, he goes out, stays out all night, and comes back with something else. He's just a walking disaster zone, aren't you? Mm. Dave. Dave. Dave loves these flies. You should see her. The moment I shout her and tell her there's a fly, she comes running. Yeah. Look at Dave. Oh, look at Dave. And she knows what these tweezers are. Don't you, Dave? Let's get a fly on. So, whoever it was that sent me this Siberian chaga mushroom brew, thank you very much. Hopefully it's helping me stay comfortable during my journey into the next life. Right then, so speak soon.